The Department of Homeland Security has just issued the first cybersecurity regulations for pipelines. The new requirements are part of the Biden administration's efforts to bolster infrastructure security following the Colonial Pipeline hack, which posed a major threat to the nation's gas supply, especially on the eastern seaboard. Under the new regulations, pipeline owners must now report cybersecurity incidents to the DHS, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, designate a cybersecurity coordinator available at all times, and report current cybersecurity practices to the federal government. Joining me now, Matt Hayden, former Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security for Cyber, Infrastructure, Risk, and Resilience. Matt, good to see you. There's some concern about the feds and businesses not being on the same page here when it comes to prevention. Will this new directive, do you think, keep this from happening again?
Well, thanks for having me on tonight, Joe. Part of the problem was that we had voluntary measures. Anytime you have a voluntary setup, unlike physical security where we had requirements in place, we just didn't know what was actually being protected from a cyber perspective. These new measures put in place a good bit of requirements that now mean that pipeline operators have to take a look at their cybersecurity measures and their mitigation efforts and where those vulnerabilities are and make sure they're truly covered, not just facilitating to some level of reporting need, but to truly try and get some security in place.
Yeah, it seems like when we talk about this, there's really, if these hackers want to do this, there's a way, they're going to find a way to do it. But it leads to the question, can these agencies and industries and these infrastructure sites, can they truly protect themselves?
Well, there's always the antithesis of that is don't make it easy. You know, it's one thing to say that it's going to be there are certain state actors that are going to knock down any wall you put in front of them. But it shouldn't be the case that they have the ability to compromise just about any critical infrastructure partner just because they have bad cybersecurity hygiene or measures that just aren't being regulated in a way that makes sense.
How elaborate and how expensive is it to do this? Because this also begs the question, is it cheaper for these targets to just pay the ransom than to fix the problem, I guess? Because we know Colonial in the end paid $5 million.
Well, the question is, how much is the next ransom going to cost them? For every ransom we pay, we're creating an economy for criminal behavior, and that's just going to make the price go up. So the answer to that is it's always going to scale. Cybersecurity isn't cheap, neither is modernization. It's hard to apply cybersecurity to old equipment, so they've got to keep up on both sides. But at the same time, ransoms are only going to go up with every payment they receive.
Do you think it's a matter of time, Matt, before this happens again and hackers target essentially another major infrastructure system?
I would say that we first have to do what this security directive put out there, which is to find out how much is happening right now. This action is to say, okay, if you have an incident, you have to actually report it. It could be happening and we don't even know about it as we speak. So to that end, we expect that there's always going to be further ransomware. We just hope that we're building in resilience and security to make that the effects of that ransomware much smaller into the future.
Right. I think I saw where ransomware victims paid $350 million in cryptocurrency in 2020. And that's what we know about. That doesn't include the companies who paid and didn't say. Matt Hayden, former Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security for Cyber, Infrastructure, Risk, and Resilience. Thanks for your time.
Thanks again.